4 bulls in 5 days on New Mexico public land. Weather that went from 90 degrees overnight to 23 degrees with snow. Elk and other critters, guys, they just didn't know how to act with all of this. And I bet a whole lot of hunters felt the exact same way. Y'all, what you are about to hear or see if you're watching on the ElkBros YouTube channel is the live wrap-up straight from our ElkBros 2020 Elk Camp. We've always wanted you to feel like you were right there with us in Elk Camp. And y'all, it doesn't get any better than this. You are right there. It's the last night, the fire is roaring, and everyone's in the house. So, my friends, pull up a chair. It's cold, so you better put your feet right there by the fire, turn your volume up just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, and welcome to our elk camp.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillian. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Grinders tuning in, thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. Our goal is to share our knowledge and help you flatten that learning curve so that you too can have some of the very same incredible experiences that have given all of us here at ElkBros a lifetime of memories. If you like what you hear or see, you can get all of this information plus so much more from our Base Camp Elk Hunting Training Camp, the first in a series of online courses from our Blue Collar Elk Academy. Our Base Camp Training Camp allows me to use my coaching style and share almost 40 years of elk hunting experiences successfully hunting elk on public lands, as well as over 20 years guiding hunters of all ages and experience levels. This course will be like nothing you have ever experienced in concept and structure, using success-based coaching techniques that will elevate your confidence and skill sets. Our camp will prepare you specifically from that final moment most in your control, those final minutes or seconds the elk is in front of you, backwards through each step and level, allowing you to see, visualize, understand, and relate every coaching point to what lies ahead, the next step, the next thought process, the next success. Because y'all, you've already been there. You know what it looks like. By tapping my 30 years of teaching and coaching experience, our camps are developed considering multiple learning modes with text, visuals, audio, as well as video. And Base Camp will benefit those new to elk hunting all the way to the 10 to 15 year vet. So if you are looking for that one thing to help you fill that tag this year, invest in the most important piece of equipment there is, you and your elk hunting knowledge. You can find the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Academy and the Base Camp Training Camp at ElkBros.com. That's ElkBros.com. Keep dreaming of the screaming, believing in achieving, and most of all, keep grinding.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm your host of your show, Gilbert Ornelas. We got our elk coaches in the house tonight. We got Leroy Chavez here up on the mountain. He's here for last night at Elk Camp. We're so excited to have him. We got your one and only, the infamous Joe Gillian in the house. The Venezuelan Mafia is here, all bundled up. Y'all can see we're here at the campfire. We got the Pennsylvania cat killer himself sitting over there, Mr. Brendan Houlihan. We got fire right here. This is a first, I got to tell you, fellas. I've been hunting Mr. Gillian for 11 years, and we've never had a campfire. And we had to get ready for this snow, Joe. And, you decided to build an awesome fire pit, and it's been fantastic. It's been thanks, like Manano said, thanks God, no more snow. It's been an epic journey. we're gonna jump right into this thing. I'm gonna let Joe kind of kick it off, and we'll start. Well, last time we left you here was day 4. We're gonna get into day 5, day 6, and day 7, because I'm telling you, it's been epic, man. It's been an unbelievable shift in the paradigm when we were up here elk hunting, huh, Joe?
Oh, it's crazy because, really we had a lot of things that we had to overcome. We had to deal with, number one, we're out here in hot weather. Bulls are bachelored up. Cows are hard to find.
Yep.
And it was just a whole different deal. If you were going to bring animals in, you weren't going to bring them in using, aggressive calls or, any kind of breeding sequence. They just didn't care about that at the time, did they?
No, not at all.
We had to transfer over at that time to herd talk.
Yep.
And by aggressive, you mean fighter.
Yeah.
Right, because you normally talk about being aggressive and calling, but not necessarily being a fighter.
Look, I tell you, even the cow sounds that we were making wasn't making a dent.
No, yeah.
You really need the location bugle and herd sounds, bull mews, stuff like that, just to get a reaction, right, Joe?
But, we had weather come in.
Ooh, did we?
And, we're talking about weather that I know you guys were not used to. This guy is used to, and he's like,
not a problem.
Oh, you can tell we're still not used. We're not.
Look at him all bundled up here.
You can tell who's coming from 10 degrees above the equator.
And it's warmed up.
Well,
for
it's
you.
all relative, Joe.
And these guys are in their snuggies over here, Hey, look, y'all. We just want to tell you. You should have heard all of us cutting up before we went to the camera. And, we just got done with an incredible meal. Manano.
But please correct the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia. That's me right here.
Manano put out, and Luis, these guys put out an incredible meal.
Every night. Every night. Not just tonight, but every night, man.
But it was epic tonight.
It was.
The photographs of the coals that he had and the food that was cooking over that. And it was just a heck of a way to end up an incredible hunt. We went 4 out of 5. This is Chav's first night up here.
Yeah.
And
Elk Camp is complete.
Camp is complete, man.
That's right.
It was so weird not having Chav here, and every single one of us, when we got an animal, we're really paying tribute to Chav. And,
dedicated. Yep.
Yeah, and having him here just really completes our circle. Yeah. So we're really celebrating now, and we're celebrating 2020 in a special way. We're celebrating this hunt in a special way. Our brotherhood is something special. We had these guys lead off with the kills.
Doubt.
Right?
Slam dunk. These guys show up and just go to doing what they do best, which is really get in the middle of it and never say die. The guys are in shape. They're always willing to work hard, which, man, look, fellas, round is a shape. So I'm in shape as well. Okay. So when Luis knocked his first bull down, it was a pretty good pack out. I told him, I'm going to be your pack mule, baby. Just load it up and let's get it on. So, but the thing that we love about these guys is they, somebody's down, next guy steps up and picks up. And, we're going to go into day 5, day 6, and day 7 and lead things off. And, we left off with the Mafia doing their job, man. In the snow, man. I'm talking in the snow.
Yeah.
The Mafia goes
sleet,
and slams them.
Weather,
Sleet, wind.
Cold.
Yeah. Some things me and, Brendan I have never done, and Brendan has done, tracking elk in the snow.
No, that was, and we talked about that in the last podcast.
Yeah.
Gilbert was like, Joe, what's the plan? And I'm like, you got me, man. This is a first. I said, look,
I've been hunting here 40 years and this never happened. Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing I do deer hunting. I'm going to cut track and I'm going to start working it.
Exactly.
And that's what we did. And,
Successful.
and we were successful with it. And we found bulls that, and I think we talked about this in the last one, that we found urine from a cow that had blood in it. So we knew cows were going in estrus. Yeah. And Chav had said, you sent that note, said it was going to be epic.
Yeah, I figured it'd be an epic day.
He did.
Especially after the, it was really hot at first.
Yeah.
And then that snowfall, I think the temperatures dropped in the mid-20s, right? That night, or possibly even lower.
23 when I woke up on my truck, and I think Brendan's was 25 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was really, really cold. These guys went out there and knocked it out. Joe and the Mafia got it done. Brendan and I were cutting tracks and putting moves on bulls. It was unbelievable. I've never done that before. I've learned a little bit about getting around tracks instead of going in behind them. So it was process of elimination for Joe and for myself.
Well, I mean, if we were doing a rifle hunt, we'd have been 3 for 3 for sure.
But
bow hunting, it's tougher to cut tracks and just follow them and
what I was most proud of is we were able to run them down. And that was really cool. We found them in their beds, tried to make a little move on them, tried to call them up, and man, they weren't having it. When they heard that snow crunching, they had us pegged when we come down that hill.
Well, and that's the thing is, okay, we always talk about making lemonade out of lemons. In other words, whatever your situation is, find a way.
Yeah.
And a technique for us, and we always talk about, in order to kill an elk, you have to find an elk, right? So the great thing about snow is, man, that track means there's an elk. And it's so funny. I talked to people, and we talked about it, that guys were like, man, I think you said something. It's like, there was no elk in that area, but after the snow, it was like, boom, boom, boom. It's
everywhere.
Like, everywhere. So
they're just not communicating, Joe. They weren't in that heat. They weren't communicating.
Right.
So go ahead.
Before that, we had 3 hunts where we didn't see or hear an elk.
Right.
And then we woke up the next day, there's snow on the ground, went and cut tracks, like, oh my God, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important point, because it seems like when that barometric pressure, when that storm was coming in, it really put a damper on things.
Yeah.
I mean, it did on us. What did we start doing? I mean,
getting ready.
We started getting ready for that weather coming.
Built a big fire pit. You can see we got the fire. We put tarps up.
It broke Joe's heart to actually do this.
It's a big blow to his pride.
So I'm going to tell you a few things that are discovered out of this, and things that have to be discussed, because I'm a freak about a lot of things. I'm a scent freak. I'm a sound freak. I want every kind of edge that there is, right?
Yes.
And I have not had a shower in 4 days.
And I stay in the same tent with him.
I can tell.
Vice versa too, right?
For sure. He's going to be happy tonight because I did get a shower today.
That's true, we did.
Man.
You got it hooked up.
It won't be me bringing the stench in.
So, I mean, point being, it was so important to play wind.
No, absolutely.
And, we talk about, all right, so we know wind is everything, right? Well, so why am I a scent freak? Because again, it's about mitigating that in some way. Minimizing, so that possibly I can get a little closer in a situation.
Yeah.
Well,
as of now, it would be 2 miles. They'll smell
I'm telling you, man, that wind had better be like 15 miles an hour, man. And in fact, I think when we killed on one of the days, we had a real hard wind, right? And
the day y'all killed Manano's bull.
Yeah.
It was a hard wind.
Mine too.
It was the storm coming in.
And we kind of used that to our advantage. I mean, it was hard to find them, right?
Yeah.
But once we did. And before we start talking about what happened after the Mafia, I want to talk a little bit about some of these guys in this group. And you're in our camp, and you're getting to see us. We know that you're going to be watching us. It makes us act a little different in some ways, and I think we're getting more comfortable with it, so it doesn't. But I want to throw some things out here. We had 5 guys with tags. We went 4 out of the 5, same as last year in 2019. Brandon did not score this year, and he beats himself to death, and here's where I am with that. And this is for each and every one of you that went out there this year that were not successful. Okay? This is the real world. This is the world of survival. These are elk that their whole job is to stay alive. That's what they do. So there is no gimmies. And I want all of you guys out there, like these guys do, to have goals and to set those goals and understand that goals are not given. Goals are earned. And sometimes we luck into a few things, but that's not going to be the long-term achievements. It's about learning those things. And, you know, Brandon with us, actually in camp with us here, you know, we've had experience before, right? Yeah. But to be in this elk camp, this is the second year, and there's growth in every year. And I'll tell you, I mean, I see the growth because I look at the little things, right? Look.
Yeah, Joe's the ultimate coach, so he's always looking for the best things in guys, right? And I give that to him all the time.
And I'm hard on the things that they need to improve.
Sure.
You know, it comes out. And, you know, I'm going to pat people on the back when they deserve a pat. And if it's not happening, I'm going to let them know,
put your foot in
right?
your butt. Yeah,
right?
For sure.
But, you know, so I tell Brandon down there is he can either, just like I'm telling each and every one of you that did not punch your tag this year, you can either look at that and go, oh man, I don't know about this. Or you can really take a look at what you can do to make that situation better. And let me tell you this, you can be the best friggin' hunter in the woods and not kill an elk during that 5 day, 7 day, or 10 day. Because these animals, it is hunting. Yeah. And they are creatures that are trying to survive, right?
And they're good at it.
They're amazing at it.
But I want you to take a look back because these days, having this day with this guy up here, the days that we've spent up in the hills, some of the laughter.
Yeah, buddy, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Had lots of fun up there on the mountain.
Oh, my gosh. And, you guys, it would be so unleashed to go there. But
hey, it's straight up. I'm going to tell you right now, it's straight up the Big O show. I promise you. I went straight unleashed up there because I was about to die up on them hills, man. I ain't lying, man. This guy, look, I love this guy like my own father, man. I truly do, like my brother. And he will push you so
to
hard.
The limit.
You will hear your freaking eardrums, your heartbeat in your eardrums, man. You will see them little pins that start failing out of your eyes, man. And, you know, I'm battling a little foot injury here. I've been chewing Advil like you chew bubble gum, you know, so I could get past this thing. I mean, 9 to 10 Advil a day with naproxen as well. I mean, we've been battling a few things, you know, like Brendan, he's got some nagging injuries too. So at the end of the day, everybody's wanting to do what's good for Coach, you know, because we want to please Coach. And I'm telling you, he just always expects the very best out of us. And I'm telling you, when I don't give it to him, I feel like I failed. But I've been that kind of athlete all my life,
right,
where somebody's had to push me, you know, and that was cool. So, you know, guys, if guys out there that didn't punch their tag, I'm telling you, man, y'all keep working, keep putting the work in,
keep grinding.
It took me 4 years to put my hands on my first bull.
Right here,
right? And I'm telling you, put my hands on. Listen, I'm not, you know. I'm not, you know, the greatest archer in the world, but I've killed hundreds of animals with a bow. And when I come up here elk hunting for the first time, everything I learned about bow hunting went down the crack of my butt. I ain't lying, man. It was straight up different. And I tell everybody that. These critters are amazing creatures. They know how to stay alive. They cover distance extremely quickly. You know, they will humble you. You know, Brendan and I had many opportunities in sets that if we just do a few things a little different, we're probably a lot more successful. You know, I had a mishap. You know, Brendan had a mishap. So at the end of the day, we got to learn from those mishaps and keep moving forward.
And,
you know?
And it's always, look, between Chav and I, there's almost 80 years of experience here, just between us two. And yet every season we come out, we learn something. These animals always teach us something. And I think that's all you have to do is be a student. Don't make excuses for why things don't happen.
Right.
look at failure points or look at improvement, ways that you can improve, own it, make it happen. And then when you get that opportunity again, go out there and I wonder, I think sometimes, what is the difference sometimes between a human being and a predator that's out there? And you know what it is? If they do not make the kill, they do not eat. They die. Yeah. Right? For us, for a lot of people, and it should be, it is for us. It's a recreation. Sure. It's a brotherhood. It's a camaraderie. It's special times with special people. Yeah. But if you are just going to go into it without putting yourself into it, without really becoming a student of the game, then expect sometimes you're going to fall short. Yeah. All right? And then own it, improve, and get right back out there. Because I tell you what, when I killed my elk this year, it's probably the most emotional I have been in, 10, 15 years. Yeah. And that's because there were a lot of things involved with that. I didn't have this guy with me up here. Yeah. I wanted to achieve that goal for the both of us. And when I come up here, Gilbert and I had a first couple of days together, but anytime I have somebody with me, I'm always in guide mode. Yeah. And not in kill mode. And I almost have to split myself off to go into kill mode. Yeah. And in my predator mode. And, my whole deal was to get these guys rocking. Yeah. And you
did that.
And it happened.
Like I said, guys, just picture this. First 2 days me and Joe were together, we call in 9 bulls, okay? 9 bulls. And just for one reason or another, we just didn't have the right set to get an arrow in one of them, right? Now, I ain't gonna lie, we got so focused on videoing and stuff like that that a lot of that kind of went to the wayside. Right. We really wanted to go find elk for the guys coming in and have a plan where we knew we were going to be able to find some elk and stuff and we did that. And when we found where we needed to be, and when this weather blew in, it was like somebody flipped a switch and these elk went absolutely bonkers.
And it became the Mafia show.
It did. It became the Mafia show. These guys knocked their bulls down and got on the camera and went to work with all of us, and it was so cool. I got to have Manano with me for the first time on a camera shot, and it was awesome. I mean, he works so hard and does such a great job with the camera. Same with Luis. Luis got to spend time with Joe, capture all of that.
Okay.
Capture all of that that Joe did.
You can talk about A and B. It's fine.
Yeah.
Please do. Yeah. Please do.
These guys are so awesome. But it did. It became the Mafia show, man. They kind of ran things. Yeah. And when Brendan and I ran into our little deal on day 5 where we were not able to convert for Joe, Brendan had a bull walk in on him. I had a bull walk in on me. And then when Brendan's bull boogered, I actually stopped him 34 yards, drew back, can't see through my peep. I'm like, what is going on here?
It's funny because you guys go day 4 or 5, and it's like it all kind of jumbles to me. Right. Right, and so you got to almost talk about the incident. And I just now realized which one you're talking about. We called that bull in over the burn over there, and was coming, and you guys were in the setup, right? 2 bulls came in, right?
2 bulls,
yeah,
brother.
2 bulls came in.
Yeah.
And you weren't sure how it was going to walk in, and it ends up walking. I think it did a straight in on you.
Yeah.
Well, no, it did. The first bull went straight towards Gilbert. It went straight up. I mean, he was about 40 yards, I'd say, in front of me and to my right. Mm-hmm. And it kind of went straight towards him, stopped, and it either saw you move or it got a gust from the gods, right? I mean, and it never got closer than 70 yards.
Right. I want to mention this too, though, Brendan, because, I've heard you wallowing that you didn't get an elk, right? And I know how hard you are on yourself. But at the same time, dude, I am so proud of your standards, right? Because you've had elk at 70 yards, and you've gone, no, that's not my shot. Yeah. Or you've had elk where there was crap in the way, and you were like, no, that is not the shot to take. Yeah. So
It's huge growth,
really
brother.
Yeah.
That's huge growth, man. So much of it's knowing what you can do is not what you can't do, right? And that's huge growth.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Huge win.
You know, and that's a hunter, because now you are honoring the animal, you're honoring the hunt. And as long as that's the bottom line, all that other stuff, you know, how many times did we ever talk about winning with our kids? You know, when we talk about the things and the training and the stuff we do, we talk to our kids about the important things in life. Winning takes care of itself.
Yeah, attitude and effort. I mean, that's the only two things you can really control, right? Winning, you can play your best game and get beat. And you can play your worst game and you can win. So winning and losing got nothing to do with the other
you
two.
work on your knowledge, you work on your skill set, you work on your calling, you work on your persistence. you do those things. You work on your being stealthy. Yeah, it's so funny. I said that with my wife today, and she's like, "Stealthy? What the heck is stealthy, man?" And really, you know, Manano here, and that's where I was going, because I talked about Brandon a bit. And Manano has now been hunting with us for 3 years, actually, with the tag. With the tag, 3 years.
With the tag for 3 years.
Yes, you've been with us for 4. With a tag for elk, it's been 3 years. You had a bear tag, and you guys capitalized on that, right?
Yeah.
But this guy shows up with no elk tag and works harder than anybody I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you want to get in this set, you've got to follow that kind of lead.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and, you know, he is, for every tag he's had, he's gone 3 in a row.
Yes, sir.
Started with a cow. Mm-hmm. He was ecstatic, man. That was his trophy.
Absolutely.
And
it was a hell of a shot, too. 64 yards, Manano?
Yeah,
64 yards.
Beautiful shot.
Beautiful
shot.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But let me tell you something about Manano. Manano, elk hunting is new to him. Hunting is not.
Right.
And how to be stealthy. This guy's an assassin.
No doubt. No doubt. I don't want him hunting me.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now. Hopefully I can see him coming.
Yeah, I have. One thing I was proud of is that, and with everybody, that I called a bull in. I called elk in for you, and you.
All of us.
And one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
Now, Manano goes, "No, I took 2." But it was a follow-up to make sure that the animal went down. That animal was going to die. It was a fatal shot.
He was sick.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he ended up putting another one. Now, your elk probably died in 20 seconds. Your elk probably died in 10 to 11 seconds. Yeah. And I know my elk was down in about 10 seconds, man. It was like unbelievable how that went down.
You guys that have not seen our podcast on shot placement, y'all better go watch it, because I'm telling you, we didn't have no tracking jobs here other than Luis's bull, but that was a shot that he made that if he doesn't shoot the equipment that he's shooting, we don't recover that bull. I promise you. And he made a good shot on that bull, double lung. And Joe talked about this in the last podcast. When you shoot a bull out in the open, it's going to go.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to try to find the trees it came from 9 times out of 10. You shoot a bull in the woods, and it's going to not do that. Right. Mm-hmm. Your bull went on a big death run a couple 100 yards, and we were able to recover it. Right.
Yes, sir.
But I'm telling you, the Mafia showed up, showed out, cooked out, did everything we asked him to do, and Joe put us on day 5, put us in the middle of the elk. It was freaking crazy. We leave camp out of that snow. We actually, because it was so bad, we slept in till about 8 o'clock, got up, made tea and coffee, and made a little plan. And Joe said, "Look, we're going to leave out of here about 10 o'clock. We're going to head up the mountain." It was probably about 11 before we got everything rounded up together, because we needed to get ready for everything.
It's probably noon.
Yeah, might have been. As soon as we get up to one of our little areas that we like to check, it was like a dadgum herd of buffalo coming through there, Joe.
Yeah.
How many times have you ever seen that many elk cross in front of you? I mean, it was crazy.
So, yeah, I get the opportunity to guide on private property, and this was on public land. We come back and we tell the guys, we saw 300 head of elk go through the country. And Manano's like, Joe, how many elk?
But really,
how many? Yeah.
He goes
Really,
like
Joe.
300, man.
And then the next day he got to see that group.
I saw it.
And he's like,
It was 300.
oh, it was 300, man. So,
we had a
yeah,
great
no,
time.
it was,
We had a
and
great
bulls
time.
were screaming.
Oh my gosh.
Cows
Joe.
are everywhere.
My
It
gosh.
was, oh, you would have
That's
loved
crazy.
it, man.
Yeah.
We dive.
You got to hear them tonight, though, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to dive. We dive out of the car. Joe runs up front. He's going to start calling. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to dive below him, start calling and going away from him, try to drag something to him and Brendan. Brendan's kind of paralleling. It was a wild Chinese fire drill. Man. I ain't lying.
Truck is on the road.
Truck
right?
is-
we
yeah,
didn't
I
even
mean,
park the truck. We just got out.
We just got out, throwed our packs on, and bailed out. And when I get down below them all, these elk are still coming out. And it took me a good 3 minutes to get my pack on, get all my gear on. And I get below Joe, and these elk are still coming, right? And he's got them. The fog is rolling in.
Oh,
on us, dude.
it was really.
foggy.
I mean,
It was like the giants from the mist coming
it
out.
was
man.
so cool. And you're trying to sneak in on these guys, and all of a sudden you see a body in the mist that has spotted you, you know, and you're like, oh man, but it was so cool.
It was.
And you guys were out. You guys were out on your own at that time because you guys were filled out, and they come back and they were like, Joe, man, you should have seen all the crap. You should have seen all the tracks. And I'm like, we saw the animals that made those. Yeah, it was.
Tracks everywhere.
Yeah,
It's,
you know,
it was amazing.
And Joe and I had a talk. And, you know, if we got separated, we're gonna meet in the burn. And you know, we got on a group of bulls. Joe knew some bulls were going up top. Me and Brendan were gonna stay with the bulls down below, and that's exactly what we did. I got to calling some bulls, and I just couldn't pull them away from the cows, you know. And we had some bulls coming, had them about 75, 80 yards. They kind of hung up. We probably needed to make a little bit better move on them. So, you know, close that distance down a little bit because they did have cows. Like Joe says, man, if we can't get in it, we're gonna blow it up trying, right?
Well, and
So,
I think we did on one, right?
No doubt.
I think we tried to get a little bit more aggressive, and all of a sudden I think he saw us make a move.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
so-
I think you're right. Brendan's right. I think we did get aggressive, and the bull actually saw us, and he probably bailed out of there. But look, immediately after that one, here comes some more, right? So we meet Joe in the burn, and we start talking about it. And, I mean, we're standing in the burn, and I look up. We're all conversing. I'm like, elk. You know, here they come again.
Actually, before that, you were right after we blew the one up. Another big bull started screaming, and you started going low, and I went high.
That's right.
And you're battling back and forth with this bull, and all of a sudden it went silent, and you're still screaming. And as I'm watching all 300 of those elk
Come
cross
off
the
the top.
road in front of me, and that elk had just bailed off with him. I mean, they went 10 minutes. Single file, elk after elk after
It was
elk.
crazy.
Hey, may I make
And
a quick
finally we met
parenthesis?
up, and I said, Gilbert's like, he shut up. I'm like, yeah, he followed the other 300 elk that just went off the mountain right there. I said, they're all
Hard
over
to beat
there,
the live
you know?
decoy thing. Hard
They're
to
all
beat the
over
live
there,
decoy
yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
It's
It's
been
crazy.
Let me make a quick parenthesis. It's been a really long day. It's already midnight, but before it's
about
midnight
1.
in Houston, I want to make sure that everybody knows that today is Happy Beto's
Birthday.
You. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all very much,
Happy
man.
Beto,
Happy
Happy Beto, Happy Beto to you. Happy birthday, brother Beto.
It's been an awesome birthday. I got to get up on the mountain, talk to my family. You know, I want to give a shout out to my sister. She got married today. She knew I wasn't going to be there. She's gracious. She knows how much passion I have to be in the woods, and she knows I love her, and I'll buy her something nice when I get home. So it's been fantastic. Having a birthday with these guys is like family. So they woke me up this morning in song, and it was a good day.
He kind of grunted, went back to sleep.
So did you hear me when I left this morning, Manano?
Yeah.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
As he rode off into sight,
Yeah, I
out of
did.
sight.
I did hear
Merry
you.
Christmas to all, and Manano, good night.
Oh, yeah.
Manano,
With that.
I was down. But the good thing you have to do birthday bull.
Yeah, I got it. got him done on the night before.
Yeah,
on September 11th, got him done. Like I said, leading into that day, right after that, we met up with Joe, and Brendan and I had an opportunity. Joe called 2 bulls in. We just had a couple of mishaps that generally doesn't happen. Most of the time, my string does not rotate on me, and I see through my peep just fine. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but that doesn't happen. And so in my preparation, a shot preparation, I never align my peep. Well, my string's gotten a little bit older, and I've been shooting quite a bit more, and now it's got some creep in it. And when I pulled that bow back on the second bull that came out, I had him at 36 yards. He kind of boogered in front of Brendan, and me being able to call stopped him, and right in his tracks. Broadside, 36 yards. That is a slam dunk for Big O, right? And I draw that bow back, get it back, stop the bull, go to get to my pin, and it is black as night. You can't see nothing. Man, I reach up there with my nose, try to move the pin, and the bull boogers again, goes down there. We actually called both bulls back twice,
Yeah, they just, at that point.
They knew the jig was up, right? I mean, they were like, oh, King's X, this ain't a good deal. We got other gals to chase. I'm outie, so I was dejected, man.
So what are you going to do, guys? What are you going to do in those situations? What are you going to do if your peep sight is turned? Yeah. What are you going to do if your pins have moved? A lot of times you're not going to know that until it's too late. Mm-hmm. Think about those possible failure points. Do you have something marked so that you know that your pins have moved? Do you know how to maybe use your sight window instead of just your pin for placement for each part of that?
Does your routine include the checking of the peep prior to actually drawing?
Or when your arrow fell off your string.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Make sure we're not.
You know what I thought?
You've had that happen a few times.
Several times,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's gonna kill me.
Yeah. Joe is gonna
kill me.
Yeah.
Please God.
Please God, let this elk not see my arrow fall off.
But that's what I'm telling you, man. That's where he's an assassin. He was cool as a cucumber. He talks about the Verelaques all the time.
Yeah.
I have never seen it. I mean, he gets there, realizes that, and he actually he does something that's kind of dangerous.
Very.
He tries to actually knock his arrows while he's at full draw there.
Don't try this.
Don't do that at home.
Yeah, do not do this at home. And so he ends up letting down. The bull doesn't see it, places the knock, and goes back again, and as cool as a cucumber, makes that shot, which was really cool. And,
God help me a little bit.
Yeah, look, I just got to tell you guys, if y'all aren't shooting in camp when you get here after, a couple days of traipsing around through the woods, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because we traipse around through some really rough country. Oh, yeah. We might bang our bows off some brush and stuff like that. I shoot a six pin spot hog that's got some wheels on it, and they can actually, and they did. They actually got it adjusted. I came out here, it was a little bit low. I don't like my bow to shoot low. Why? Because when I judge distance, I miss it under. Right? I don't miss it over. So at the end of the day, I want to be able to shoot a little bit high if I misjudge that distance in distance, right? And most of the time, if I'm looking at it, I'm gonna think 35. It's 40, right? So I'm gonna leave my bow shooting a little bit high. So when I got here, the first 2 days, we've trucked through. We made some treks through some really tough country, and I knocked my bow off, So I'm telling you, if you guys aren't shooting your bows in camp, you just opening yourselves up. And look, even when I shot, I had to adjust my peep because that was part of that routine, my learning routine. So Joe asked me a question the other night after that happened to me. He says, "You ever shot without the peep like that?" I said, "I haven't." So I did. I shoot about 8 inches to the right if I don't use my peep, right? So it's just compensating to get the pin over the string, right? So now I know at 30 yards, I just got to aim about 8 inches left if I can't see.
Oh, that
right?
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That way you see the pins right next to the string.
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
And then, or right next to your black peep.
Yeah.
So you got the black peep,
Right,
and then you
and
make
then
sure
get
the
the pin.
pins are on the
You're just
left-hand
gonna
side, and then you just kind of
shoot right.
figure,
So
oh, that's great.
You move your,
that's a good point.
for me, okay, some guys may see it differently.
but try it.
But for me, so I had to aim at the left side of the target to actually hit where I wanted to be. So
That's a great idea.
Joe asked me, he said, I know Gilbert's going to figure that out, and that won't be a failure mechanism next time, right? So I want that to not have to be a failure mechanism either. I'm going to go get my string changed, and hopefully that never happens. But I think from now on, that cost me a really good shot opportunity. So I'm going to rotate that peep every time. Yeah. It's going to be part of my set mechanism, right? Like it was when I killed my bull.
Well, I can tell you another thing, too, that changed things is we went from hunting in our September clothing and garb to hunting in winter stuff. I mean, now we're in thick stuff. We're wearing different gloves. For me, as an instinctive shooter, I came out here and all of a sudden everything feels different. So I actually had to come out there and shoot a few times to see, well, is this feeling right? Because I'm wearing a glove that flips to the backside, so when I draw, I've got something sticking up that I've never seen before. And for me as an instinctive shooter, I like to look where I'm shooting and I let it fly, right? And if I notice something else, it throws me off because I'm not looking down that tunnel no more. So I think when you get to places, you need to try that. When you feel the different temperatures, now you're in different kind of conditions. We were hunting in snow. And, Manano, you were down in snow for I don't know how long, getting wet. And
shaking.
Yeah.
I was shaking. I sat in the top of a rock with snow. I got my butt wet.
You can say butt. It's okay.
Yeah, I know that. It's
I want to talk about the other growth. I mean, at the end of 2020 here, I've got Luis that from the first time I met this guy as just this enthusiastic, happy-go-lucky, glad to be out here adventure type person. Absolutely. I still think he's that same person
every day.
But he's not. You can see that everything now that's happening is kind of like if you've ever played your first basketball game, it just goes way too fast for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a football game. It's like you just can't get in this rhythm.
The speed of the game is a little different.
Yeah, and Luis has found his rhythm.
No doubt.
He understands what's happening around him. So Luis, that's why I see Brendan where Luis was at one time,
for
right?
Sure.
And I see the confidence in him and, his progress with his calling. I mean, he looks like an elk hunter now,
You bet. And look, the guy's cerebral hunter, right?
He's so cerebral.
Very cerebral.
Coming from the guy who talked about geometry?
Yeah, man. I know what a circle is, boy.
That's a cool story.
I know what a circle is. I passed geometry, but I had to cheat a little bit to get there. Tell my kids all the time.
Tell the background about the geometry.
I think Joe might have turned the tables on you there for a minute.
What I wanted to say is, we've all had some lessons learned through this deal. I let Brendan talk a little about his lessons learned with his rangefinder, right? I mean, we all carry one in our pockets, right? It's really important for bow hunters to understand and how to judge distance without having that rangefinder, or really just be able to pick up two distances and understand where that range is. And look, these critters they're huge and they're majestic, and when I first started bow hunting them, I would get lost in that rangefinder as they're walking up. You're just almost mesmerized, So I let him talk about his little failure mechanism and the things that he can do better now moving forward to help himself not have to worry about that dadgum rangefinder all the time.
Well, and that was kind of an odd incident, really. Yeah. I mean, because it was the second bull that came in.
Right.
The first bull that came in pretty much on a straight line towards you.
Yeah.
Right? And
Joe was calling behind us.
Yeah, Joe was calling behind us, and the bull came in pretty much on a beeline towards you, and you were 40 yards out from me, ahead of me.
Sure.
So the bull actually got I don't know, what did he get, 40 yards from you? But the closest...
Yeah, 48 yards from me, but quartering to me severely.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, no, it was a frontal shot. You didn't have a shot.
Right.
But I'm just saying he was broadside to me, but he was over 70.
Sure.
But he slowly walked in, feeding the whole time, right? And you said that you thought a little movement from you, or I felt that there was possibly, I felt a little wind on the back of my neck, so I wasn't quite sure what happened there. So,
Elk.
so the bull boogered, and we didn't get the opportunity. Sure. And then Joe continued calling. Here comes another bull on the same exact line.
Right.
And I had ranged several trees. Right. I knew my 30. I knew my 50. And I felt comfortable with that.
Right.
But what was going on was this bull was taking the same exact line that the other one had taken. I'm like, well, let me just check on this. He's going to come in broadside. Let me make sure, So I sat there, and I was kind of using it almost as a binocular. Yeah, right? Exactly. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a nice-looking bull, and 84 yards, And then but that was when he was a little bit angled away, and he was taking the same track, so the closest I figured he was going to get was at 75.
Sure.
I'm looking at 75. Yep, 75, and all of a sudden he makes an abrupt right, which puts him coming straight towards me. And at that point, he takes 4 steps, and he's at 46 yards, and I'm like sitting here.
Still with the rangefinder in my hand.
But he only took like 4 steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so I'm like, and I start to lower the rangefinder.
Yeah.
And he just stares at me, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Freeze.
Yeah. So now I'm froze.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Holding my bow, looking on through the rangefinder.
I'm waiting for any minute the schwack.
Yeah, and I was froze a bit.
Yeah.
We couldn't see each other well.
Yeah.
So I tried to ease it down a little bit more, and he did one of these, and I'm like, okay, that's not an option. Gilbert, kill him, please. Yeah. Kill him, please. Right? And at that point, we had no communication. There's nothing I could do, and finally he something he didn't like, and he boogered, and then that's when you drew back, and you had him at 35 or something like that, and that's when your peep
deal. Yeah.
Peep was.
It was a total wreck.
So we should have killed that bull. Both of us should have killed that bull, and neither of us killed that bull.
Yeah, and let me tell you, this is as a guide, and somebody that works with multiple hunters, 2-on-1. I've even done more. We even had more of us out there, right? Yeah. And but I think a big problem sometimes is, and you have to understand this, a lot of us have been athletes, and we've gone through teams, and we've learned not to be selfish and things like that. But there's also one thing that I always had to teach my teams is that when you have the shot, when it is going to be your comfort zone, it's going to be within your range, it's going to be a killing shot, you take that shot. You don't think, well, Bob's going to have a chance at that. No, because Bob is thinking, well, Gary might have a chance at that. Yeah. And you end up with a bull that walks away. Yeah. And I can tell you as a guide, man, that is so irritating. Yeah. It's almost to the point where sometimes I'll say, well, Gary, you stay with me, and Bob, you go up front because I'll know you'll shoot. Yeah. And that's the way it has to be. If you're split in what we call a flying V, so that you go out like this, or if you're in an L where one person's in the front, one person's to the side, when you have that shot, when you have that killing shot, you take that shot. You don't think, well, Bob might have it. That's not the point. The point is that we are out hunting as a team to put an animal on the ground. So we'll do that as a team, and be happy for whoever makes that. Plus one's now on the ground, and that makes it a whole lot easier
for everybody to help.
Yeah, for people to help out. So that 2-person shooter thing, sometimes people are like, well, if it comes to the right, it's me. If it comes to, well, what if it's in the middle? Yeah. And I know exactly what Brendan is saying. Brendan is like, well, if I move, I'm going to spook that animal, and I'm going to screw it up for not just me, but for Gilbert. Yeah. When all actuality is that because he's locked down by an animal, the chances of Gilbert having a shot or him having a shot are now slim to none. Yeah. So really, again, you do the math, and that is if he does not make some kind of attempt. And I can tell you this, I have taken an arrow out, knocked it, pulled back, and killed a bull staring at me the whole time.
Yeah.
Just because they've locked in on you does not mean they're not going to allow you to make a move. Sometimes it's a matter of time of you making that move before they do something.
Yeah, and Joe, it really doesn't matter. If you don't make a move, you're never going to kill that bull.
It's
right?
gone.
It's
gone.
And for me, I do call. So if the bull boogers, I'm going to stop it.
Right.
You know, we're going to have another opportunity probably to get an arrow at him, right? If you can see through your peep, right? But it's exactly what happened. Right?
But to your point, Joe, what you're saying, it's a matter of time, how long you take to actually do it. Meaning, what you're saying is, if you just do it super slow, you eventually will be allowed to make those moves in front of the bull and staring at you. Is that what you meant?
You just do it you just do it.
Yeah.
You pull out the arrow, you put it on, you pull back, and you take your shot. Because it seems like elk, when they have busted you, it's almost like they have this internal clock of, okay, I'm gonna give it a second to figure this out. It doesn't feel right. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing that, and even if you scream a bugle at the same time, do something that's just going to distract them a little bit, and just
you that window.
And just give it the effort, because you're
without
either,
the effort, you're not going to have nothing.
You're not going to have an animal.
Zero.
Either you're going to have an opportunity. So it's like this: if I do nothing,
you're going to get nothing.
I'm going to get nothing. If I do something, I at least have a 50-50.
Right.
So that's just something to think about.
I agree.
I totally understand his thinking.
Me too.
I totally get it, because he's like, well, maybe if I don't move, then that animal is going to relax and go by Gilbert, and he's going to have his shot, right?
Or if he took one more step, I could have had a chance.
Right.
His head would have went behind the tree, and I could have had a chance to.
But I can tell you, once
together.
those ears go, and they're locked in on you,
just go ahead and make you move.
It's not happening, man.
Just go ahead and make you move, see what happens. I'm going to stop him when he boogers.
Now, if they bark at you, you have an opportunity.
He did bark at us. He barked at us twice after we came back.
That was after he took
But
off.
because when they bark at you, they're saying, I don't know what you are, show yourself, right? It's kind of like telling you, well,
what's up?
What's up? Show me. Are you an elk, right? So
at that point, he was 90+ yards.
Sure, absolutely. It's done at that point. But I just want people to understand that, because there's little things that I get to see in each one of you when in your learning curve that I think can help so many people out there, and that's one of them. I talked to the guys, and we mentioned on the last podcast about when you're stalking, of not skylining yourself, right? That's one of the things. It's just little things like talking about footwork, like what we talked about today.
Chav was so good when I was hunting with him so many times. He would tell me, hey, look, before we get in that area, let's stop and let's scan and look before we bail off into something so we don't blow it off. Right. Many times we walked into a herd of elk because we saw them first before we got there. You talk about the master assassin. This guy here has learned how to dive into a herd of elk without ever being seen, right? So he really helped me with understanding how to get inside of an elk herd without doing any calling.
It's them quiet guys you got to watch out for.
Absolutely, the quiet assassins. So that's day 5, right? Mm-hmm. Day 5 ends with a little bit of anxiousness, right? I'm apologizing to my coach that I didn't get it done, and he's like, "Hey, I got confidence in you. We're going to go back out there and put the work in." Day 6 rolls around.
Actually, I told him, "Shut up!
Quit your whining." We call the ambulance. Day 6 comes around, and holy smokes, did we put on the zapatos? I mean, holy crap, man. This guy decides we're going to walk every ridge in New Mexico till we find them, right? And we did. And it was awesome, man. I'm telling you, I like to dive up on that mountain twice. I had to beg him to stop. But we jumped in the middle of 2 herds of elk, Joe.
So cool, the fact that we all went out together.
We did.
It was amazing.
It was a big group.
It was a huge group, man. Huge group, 2 cameramen.
5 of us.
Joe and I, we had a plan that if we get separated, Manano and Brendan would come with me. Luis would go with him, because You know, at the end of the day, we're hunting elk, right?
Right.
And Joe needs to be in the middle of them too. Thank God we jumped in the middle of this herd so we could slow down. And I'm gonna let Joe take it off.
But before that, you gotta explain what the circle.
So,
What's the deal with circles?
let me just before we get too far into it is that you know, the show Big O over here is always doing some things and saying some things, and I'm like shaking my head, and it's what, and he does it just to get my ire up, right? You know, he just wants to get a reaction out of Joe, right? So I'm like, you know what, dude? I think I'll just, because I'm leading the pack all the time out there, so I'm like, I think I'll just start walking you around in circles, right? And he's like, I know what a circle is, Joe.
That's what I told him. I said, Joe, I know what a circle is. I passed geometry. We ain't doing no circles down here. You go down to come back up to go back down. No. Let's go over the middle. We ain't got to go in a circle, Joe. You're killing me here, dude.
So because of that, throughout the day, I was just like, let me see how tight of a circle I could get him to follow me.
You know, they make fun of
it a few times.
They make fun of the round guys, but they always want to keep you around for some laughs and entertainment.
And hold tight for an upcoming best propaganda commercial, however you want to call it, for the Valkyrie Camo.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, if it can hide me, it can hide anybody. I promise you.
And so throughout, we would be doing something, he'd be, all of a sudden he'd go, feels like a circle, Joe.
Exactly. That was a half moon, Joe. I'm like, that was a half moon. We can't have that. Let's go, man. So we really start dogging this herd. And I mean, we can hear them in front of us. And we've been hearing them in front of us the last hour.
Time out.
Yeah.
We started all the way on the east side.
I know. Right? I said the whole ridge is in New Mexico.
And then we just kept on following.
We started at Johnson's Mesa and we ended up over in Chama.
That's right.
He counts in reaches. He doesn't count in miles.
No, that's it. I told you.
How many reaches?
We started in Johnson's Mesa, ended in Chama. I ain't lying, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. So we parked the bike 7 miles from where we started.
And we ended up at camp.
We ended up at camp. I'm like, so we get it to the top of this apex of where we're diving into this herd, and I told him, Joe, you got to stop, son. I'm about to die. I'm not lying. I'm not the one that wants to be the weak link, but somebody's going to have to carry my big butt off this mountain. My foot's killing me. My lungs are burning. And I can hear the elk. By God, I want to get there. I know, but I can't kill nothing when I'm laid over, killed over in the dadgum snow. I'm like, man. I said, damn, Joe, just give me 1 minute, Joe. 1 minute. He looks at me and he shakes his head, man, you know. And then he looks back at me and I'm like, all right, let's go. We dive in there.
I never shook my head.
We dive in there.
It was more like this. It was more like...
But what y'all don't understand is this guy will go up there and stop. I'm still 15 seconds behind him, and then he goes again. I ain't had a break. Right?
Gilbert, we're 7 seconds behind, and we get there, we get one. Oh, damn it.
Bottom line is this guy coaches like nobody. He will demand you to put the work in, and look, he will get you in the middle of a herd of elk.
Which
and
is
that's
what happened.
That is exactly what happened. He said, we will not be denied today. We will be in the middle of that herd of elk, come hell or high water. And that's exactly what happened.
Or heart attacks.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Put us right in the middle of that herd of elk. We dive off over the top of this ridge. And when we dive off, I'm begging for another opportunity to stop. I look in front of us and a cow dives off. Joe, a cow. He's like, man, heck with that cow. We're going to get in the herd. And then he turns and looks, and it's like whack-a-mole. Elk popping up everywhere.
Oh, man.
He's
That
like,
was crazy.
put the brakes on, son. Let's look out here what we got. Because at the end of the day, me and him are killing cows. It don't matter. Whatever gets in the way. Whatever gets in the way, we're killing them, right? Yeah. So I'm going to let Joe take it over from there because it was a special time with him and Manano, or him and Luis, and me and Manano and Brendan. I'll let Joe take it over from there.
Yeah, because it's kind of, I mean, with a herd that size, there's a lot of different groups. So I end up seeing and hearing a bunch of cows bail off, and I had a bull. Now, let me tell you, you hear a lot of times that if you get in a bull's bubble with his cows, that they're going to come defend them. That depends on that time of year, man, because there's sometimes we're like, oh, I don't care, take them, you know? And the cows are the ones that are actually leading what's going on, and the bull's just trailing. So they start to bail off, and man, I tell you what, this was going to be, you know, like I said, I've been focused on everybody else getting shot, so this was going to be my opportunity to go. And I start going after him. I challenge the bull. The bull actually does a reversal on me, comes around and catches me. So he takes off again. His cows don't know what's going on, and I know if I control their movement, that I control his movement. And there's other bulls screaming too at the same time. Well, I'm just bailing off down the hill with this group, unbeknownst to me that you guys are up there with a whole different group that you guys end up splitting up with as well, because it was so big, right?
Yeah.
And y'all got to
Huge
see.
herd.
Yeah, it was just huge.
Huge herd.
So I'm bailing down, and all of a sudden I notice that there's something off my shoulder, and I look back, and Luis is right there, man.
Filming.
Yeah, he's back there filming. You know, he's just following right behind me. And I mean, he was doing true blue, because Manano was going to stay with you, and he was going to stay with me. I just had no idea that he was going to follow through like that. And I mean, we just bailed off. And guys, I wear hearing aids, so I hear a lot of stuff that's going on. But when you have a bird dog with you that has young ears, I'm constantly being reassured, and he's just pointing. He's like, bull, bull. And he's not telling me go after that bull, go after this cow. He's just going, bull, 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 cows. You know, I'm hearing this here. You know, we use this symbol for cows, bull for the bugle, just like that. And he's like, bull, 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 cows right there. And so we're just going. And I'm telling you, if you've ever followed a herd of elk,
Oh yeah,
it's like following my wife through Walmart, right?
Ooh, Rhett, did you hear that? Oh, man, he's going in on you, Rhett. I didn't say that, Rhett.
You had better have your shoes on, because they get with the program when they're going to a destination.
Yeah, buddy.
Right?
Yeah, buddy.
So they're bailing off, and we're bailing off, and my whole goal, guys, is I never want to follow behind elk. There's just too many stragglers, and it just doesn't work out. I want to get to paralleling them. So I try to get off their side, and where I can hear them, and we're going down like this, because there might be an opportunity where, and this is what happens, where they actually turn and come into you, and you have the wind advantage, you have the placement advantage. So I'm going down, and really, look, in my mind, when I do things like this, I'm making decisions all the time by what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, and where they're going. It's just how my mind works after these years of dealing with elk. So I don't really think about it. I just do it. But Luis had a unique perspective, because he was right on my butt the whole time. And I'm going to let you actually.
No, I told you, you know, I told you after the kill and everything, and I said, man, you're something out of this world, because just having the opportunity to just be on your six for the entire time, it was an incredible experience. I told you, I said, this is a memory I'm going to take with me to my grave, because watching the way that you had to so quickly process all the information around you, with regards to the cows, with regards to the bulls, and how they were acting, how they were reacting to everything that you were throwing at them, right? Because it's not just them talking and you trying to figure something out. It's you responding and then watching them respond, and then you trying to figure something out and trying to figure where they were going. So I'm just back there trying to film most of it, and just, you know, watching your face just kind of look everywhere and trying to figure these guys out and trying to outsmart them. One of the coolest parts was when we got to that valley, when we got to that road, that it looked like they
So
split.
when you say road, this is really a trail going through, right?
My bad, yeah. So when we got to the trail, it looked like they split. And we had a bull on the right-hand side and some cows on the right-hand side, but then we had another bull on the left-hand side with some cows as well. So it was a decision moment at that point, and obviously the wind was coming, kind of from the northwest to the southeast a little bit. And it was like, okay, what is he going to do now? So at that point, you decided to continue with the group that was going northwest and be parallel to them. Obviously, when I saw that was the decision being made, and it's just you didn't want to compromise you being spotted in the middle between the two groups. Now, at least that's how I interpreted it. You started going up the ridge, and I looked at that ridge, and I'm like, "Oh crap, here we go." So it was just, and look, we're talking. This is no easy terrain. I mean, this is deadfall. Thick volcanic rock,
big boulders.
I mean, it's just branches everywhere, and we're trying to keep up with a herd of elk going up the hill. I mean, this is where these guys live. These are athletes. So anyway, we kept on going, and eventually, what you were trying to do is intersect them, and they happened to give us a break. They happened to stop for a while and started feeding. And then when they started feeding, it's like you found the moment. You found the moment in which you could, okay, we gained ground. We're parallel to them. We intersected them. And at that point, I could see you looking for lanes and getting in position. And you found your position, and I stayed back. I wanted it so bad to be right behind you so I could capture the actual shot. But I just stayed back because I knew that at that point, if I ever moved or did anything...
So there were a lot of eyes down there.
There were a lot of eyes, and something, I would have blown it. So that's the last thing I wanted, especially after all the effort that you had put on it. So I just stood there and watched you, and I could see you hesitate a couple of times trying to lift your bow, and then in your face, I could read it as like you were telling yourself, no, just wait, take your time. It's just take your time and pick the right moment. And you sure did. And you waited there. I don't know how long we were there for, maybe about 5 minutes, but it feels like half hour.
Oh man, it seems like forever.
Yeah. It always does.
Yeah.
It's like slow motion almost.
And then at that point, I saw you draw, and I was like, whoop. Something's gonna die. so I could see some cows through the bush, through the trees and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, well, he's going after a cow, and
which was totally my intent. I was going to take whatever shot I had at whatever animal at this point in time in the game, and still having guys that I needed to tag out. Yeah, absolutely.
So you take that shot, and I hear a crack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I don't know. That didn't sound like a good shot. What's going on here? And then I see you knocking.
Deja vu last year, huh?
I see you knocking.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
I see you knocking another arrow, and I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? So I obviously heard some cows and stuff like that move around, some branches being broken, and animal movement. But I see you draw again, and I tell you what, guys. I mean, the way the Joe's bow is designed is not designed to be held like with 85% let off like most of modern bows are, right? So when he draws, it's because that arrow is going to fly shortly after. Yeah. So when he drew again, I'm like, whoop, well, what's going to happen now? And sure enough, he throws out that missile, loose. And then I hear a big movement, a big animal moving through the branches, but I hear branches breaking and stuff breaking. I'm like, oh, something happened here. And at that point, I looked at you. You looked at me. You asked me You asked me, did you hear? I was like, I don't know. I can't see. I just can't see anything. So I got close to him, and he said, well, let's wait here for a little bit. It was a nice, it was a nice bull. And I was like, really, a bull? I didn't see a bull. I just saw cows. And I was like, yeah, no, it was a bull. He came in close, and I just kind of judged him for about 50 yards, 55 yards.
So the first time, so when I get up there and I get in position, I actually had to stalk over through the sunlight to get in position. So I'm kind of like doing all fours type thing to get there, and I get in position, and the cows are feeding up the hill, but nothing is providing a shot right now. So like he said, I'm just like biding my time because there's so much activity of cows. I know something's going to present. When all of a sudden I see something to the side moving, and I look and I see the antlers, and there's a bull in the group that's feeding as well. So then my focus shifted over to the bull, and the bull, he's just eating and eating and eating. So I'm just like, I'm going to wait and see what happens. Well, he turns and he comes to the point where now I have nothing but kill zone where I want to shoot that mid body, right? That's where I want to take him. And I didn't even notice it really at the time, but where he walked, and because I'm up above, there's all kinds of fallen logs and stuff. So there's a fallen log that is just above his
kill zone.
Well, it's right below his kill zone,
below,
and just right in position. And I figured him, again, guys, I don't range find. I go off of instinct. So I figured right around 40 yards. And so when I pulled back, let fly, flight is looking perfect, and it drops 4 inches low and right into this log, man. And so when that happens, it's like you said, when they booger, this guy, he doesn't know what's going on. He hears that crack, and it surprises him. So he runs, and he comes right back another 10 yards further. And I'm like, 4 inches low? He must have been 50. So right now, he must be 60. Right. So I used my 60-yard pin.
In his brain.
You know, I looked at him. I know now he's at 60. I let fly. And I don't even think when I do this stuff. It's just how it goes, right? So I let fly, and I see the arrow going perfectly, but at 60 yards, I lose it. And then I don't hear anything.
Right.
I don't hear thump. I don't hear crack. I don't hear anything. So, of course, I'm like, oh, is it Joe's hearing aids or what? So I go to the young ears, and I'm like, did you hear it? Could you tell? He's like, I didn't hear anything, you know? So I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it was a clean miss and it went into the grass or dirt, which in this rock and log world that was there would have been
y'all
amazing,
need to understand
right?
that this shot, I mean, when you look at the stuff, the environment around, like
it was just a window.
Oh my God! But the window was so minimal. I mean, it's just like I looked at it, and look, there's a couple windows where he was standing from, and when he told me where he shot from, I'm thinking it's the obvious one on the left-hand side, which is way open. But when he told me where that bull was standing, I'm like, I'm looking at it. This is unbelievable. I just don't understand how that arrow went through that stuff at 60 yards. Yeah. And it was an amazing shot. That's all I have to say. It's just unbelievable.
So I tell Luis, I go, Luis, I want you to stand here. I'm going to go down and check for my arrow. So I go down, first thing I do is pull the arrow that's in the tree, and I set it up so that gives me a line right there, because it was almost the exact same shot, but a little further. And so I go in, and I'm looking, and there's no arrow, man. Now, I'm not really waiting a long time here because I wasn't planning on tracking the animal, right? I just wanted to find the arrow first
see
and
what kind of hit we got.
Get some information.
Sure.
So I go down there, and I'm looking, and I'm like, where the heck is the arrow, you know? And I don't see anything. And so I look, and I said, well, there's 2 tracks. So I look, 1, 2. And for some reason, I look off to the side, 30 yards away. I see my bull nose up where he just fell backwards, man. Yeah. I mean,
smoked
muerto.
That's right. Smoked him, man.
Oh, and so it was he was slightly quartering.
Yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah, slightly quartering away. So I put it right where I shoot, mid-body, about 3 to 4 inches back. It hits right there. He's quartering a little bit, so it comes out the golden triangle.
Oh, yes.
And
it's perfect shot.
I mean, he just barreled up, man. And
we're just hearing.
Right?
bulls.
Joe.
Yeah, there's bulls bugling around here right now. Yeah, they're all doing that right now.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, so when I saw that bull there, I just came back and I saw Luis and I was just, damn, man. I mean,
Silverback was pumping his chest.
Oh, I was just so full of emotion, and I really was. It was when we got down to that bull. It was a special moment there, and it was a moment that I just wanted to take in because my wife had just texted me the night before, and she's like, she said, you've been working so hard to get these guys a bull, and she goes, I hope you get an opportunity. I was like, it's all good. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And part of me had already consigned to just focusing on what I needed to.
Sure.
So,
yeah, and after we separated, the guys and I had an unbelievable time. Both of us got interlocked with some bulls. I actually saw something that I've never seen before in my life. I actually watched a bull bed his cows down, and he made 3 different roundup type bugles, and those cows bedded right next to him. I'd never seen that happen before, and the cows and the calves bedded. And then he came walking out. I sounded like a big old herd bull coming through there, and he come walking out to meet me. Just he was in some real thick stuff. I probably could have done a better job of getting a better window to really try to challenge him from, but that's just not the way it worked out, right? They got a little gust from the gods, and they went their own way. Look, we're 6 miles into this deal. I'm wore out. I actually pulled base maps up, right? Because I think I know exactly where I'm at. I'm on the backside of a ridge, and I think I know I'm.
How many
exactly
ridges later?
Three or four. Like I said, we're in Chama, so at the end of the day, I knew we was in Chama. I needed to drop down to Cimarron. So at the end of the day, I said, I'm gonna figure out where I'm at. I hear the bulls going. Manano and Brendan had went off and tried to get in the middle of a herd, and a herd bull, a giant bull. They had a really cool, encounter with him. Got within 60 yards. They got to see some really cool elk mannerisms and stuff like that. Learning experience for them for sure. And they dive off where they dove off, and we literally. Maybe 90 yards, we meet up 90 yards from where you carry your bull, but you hadn't killed him yet, right?
Yeah.
So I look at them, I said, look, man, I'm going to tell you right now, Joe is so deep in this herd, I know what's going to happen. He's just going to go to camp, I said, let's just walk to camp. Well, camp's another 1.5 miles down the hill, so thank God it was downhill, right? So we walk into camp, and before you know it, I hear Joe Crow calling up the road and everything. He comes walking in, and I said, man, what's up? And he does like that, and he's got blood on his hand. It was much jubilation. Everybody's ready to go get the packs on and go get this bull, and it was unbelievable to see the emotion on Joe, and then the adoration that Luis has for his coach, right, and the opportunity that he got to spend with him. I've got to spend 11 seasons of my life with this dude, man. It's been amazing, and especially to have Chav in camp. My last 5 years, he's been at my side just about every bull I've killed, right, from the some of the longest shots I've ever made to some of the coolest. Last year being right on my shoulder as we killed that bull, right before dark. On day 6, the morning wakes up and it is cold again.
Man,
it's cold.
Let's talk about cold, man.
It is cold again. It's in the mid-20s.
It's still cold.
Yeah. It's in the mid-20s, and me and Brendan and the guys, we decide we're going to go out again. And I'll let Joe talk about, or Luis talk about day 6 and how that all went off, right? So day 6 is when Joe kills his bull, right? So that evening we get back, Luis is such a team player. He tells Joe, I'm going to process your bull for you. You go on back out with Gilbert and Brendan and Manano. the other mafia member grabs the camera, does what he look. And I want you guys to know something. These guys got deer and bear tags, right? They could separate from the group at any time and do their thing, right? And none of us would say a word, but they are not that kind of guy. They are going to ride or die with their group. So Manano says, "Hey, I got you, Big O." He says, "You gonna kill a bull tonight?"
I ordered it.
Yeah, he ordered it. He said, "I'll order you to kill a bull." He said,
Chav ordered one.
He did.
Yeah, Chav did too.
He said 3 down. He goes, "Y'all got to kill one more tonight." That's
at least one more tonight. He said.
Coach Chav texts us up here on the mountain. Shout out to
Zolio.
We've been able to stay in touch with Chav the whole time. So he says, "Y'all got to go get one more." So Joe says, "Hey, we got one more to go get." There's the little Zolio deal right there. If you guys don't know about it, go check them out at Zolio.com.
We have nothing to do with it. It's just some.
That's some shameless plug for Zolio, but at the end of the day, it's made our lives a lot easier, man, for sure. So, Joe gets us up, decides he's going to take us down to the end of that ridge again. We go up, we go down, make a half moon, and drop off on a little road. And Joe says, "Guys, if y'all want to talk to your families, here's the place to do it. We're going to wait and get this wind right. Wind gets right for us." He said, "We're going to make a last-ditch effort and dive off into this ridge." Dive off into that ridge, Joe, and it is on fire. I'm talking straight up out of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Yeah, I mean, boo, 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 here they go.
And wind wasn't right.
Wind was horrible. We dive in on this big herd bull with about 30 cows, and he's wheezing. I mean, in our face. I can see his feet walking. I'm like, this is going to happen. Come hell or high water, the wind or not, we're going to dive off in this group and make lemonade out of lemons for sure. We dive off in that group, blow that herd up. 2 more bulls are sounding off to our left. We dive off this next ridge, and it is treacherous, man. Boulders everywhere. We're sliding around. But it's getting dark, man. It's getting dark, and Joe's really wanting to, make a last-ditch effort. We dive off into that deal, man, and Manano's the cameraman on the whole thing, so I'm going to let you finish it out.
Camera beat.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to let you finish it out, man. Give me what you saw there, Manano.
Well, I saw kind of a silverback doing a great long shot. Yeah, well, I couldn't get the elk.
No, that's camera A stuff.
Camera B. But I did record
the shot.
I saw Gilbert just ranging the elk really fast, and he just drew really fast too and cut it loose. And I heard the fletch, the arrow going through the animal like a billow.
Yeah.
It was like a whack.
Yeah.
And 15 seconds later, I heard the crash. I mean, it was like a. And Gilbert was like.
Yeah. Look, I'm telling you, somebody that feels the pressure, no doubt. Pressure is what you feel when you don't know what you're doing. We put in a lot of practice here. These guys watch us practice all the time when we're here at Elk Camp. We shoot 90 yards, 80 yards, 70 yards, 60 yards. And that's so when we're in that situation, none of that feels foreign, I blew up a bull getting into that bull, right? Joe's calling and bulls are coming out of everywhere. I dive off. Joe says, go down there, right? So I dive off, and I dive off as deep as I can get until I start to see something. And I'm telling you, I run right over a dadgum 5x5, and he was standing 35 yards in front of me, and I never saw him. These critters blend in really good.
It's amazing.
He blows out of there, man, runs up the hill.
I didn't see him.
Right.
I was really close to it.
I don't know if Joe even saw him, but at the end of the day, I blew him up, and Joe saw him running up the side of the ridge. Well, he screams this hard, challenging bugle like he's the one that just whipped his butt. Bull runs up there, and the Weezer bull stands in front of us and going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see his feet. Well, he's directly in line of an aspen tree of me. He decides he's going to go to the right-hand side of that aspen tree, which is to his left. Joe decides he's going to go to the left side of me and start calling. The bull actually turns around and walks to the left. And when he walks out, I've ranged this little area where he's going to come in this dip. It's straight down a hill. He's going to come in. It's either 60 or 45. He's going to be somewhere in that area. I shot him for 45, 50, and when I drew back, I knew it was downhill. I could use my 40-yard pin. I needed him to walk in that window. I unlatched, straightened my pin, latched back again, and he's walking. As he walks into that deal, I draw, and it was
was really fast.
It was just by happenstance that I cow called and Joe cow called at the same time when I draw, and he stops. And he don't even look at me. He looks up the hill at Joe.
I can see him staring right at me.
He's quartering hard to me, but I see a crease. And when I saw that crease, I'm shooting him for 45, 50 yards, and I used my 40-yard pin. I put it in that crease, just a little high center, poof, send the missile, and I knew it hit him a little high. But look, I always think my arrow's going to go high because I aim just a little bit high. It hit that bull, and I'm telling you, in the video, you will watch 15 seconds, he's down and done, man. Yeah. Game over, set match, big old scores, and I'm telling you, the monkey is off the back, man. I had let this guy down, felt like I really had, and man, the emotions hit me. Look, I hadn't been able to train a whole lot this year because I had some physical ailments, but I'm telling you right now, I never quit mentally. Right, I'm gonna stay in the game as long as I can. If you got to drag my ass up that mountain, right? And Joe does that periodically. He will drag me up that mountain. That night, we wheeled ourselves in the middle of that herd, come hell or high water.
So it was one of those deals where most people think the night's over,
right?
And that's the one thing that I want to tell you is that you can hunt for 8 days straight and nothing.
Yeah.
And in 5 minutes, everything changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
we're almost twofered. You had another bull coming in on the left side with Brandon.
Brandon was getting ready to unleash on your bull,
exactly.
man. And there was another one up there on the side and that's why I put you down below because of the one down there. And there was one up on the ridge, so I put him over there. And I thought I was going to get a twofer out of it. I really did, because it was a perfect storm.
Yeah, Brendan actually said, man, I was getting ready to draw on your bull when all of a sudden he boogers. He said, I thought a twig snapped or something. He goes, I had no clue. And then he said, I seen the bull run out there and crash. He goes, well, dang, I guess Gilbert smoked him. Man. He's like, wow.
That's how it should. Then that is the situation how it should have been right there. So,
sure.
That's where two shooters in two different positions were. Some was going to die.
Oh yeah.
At that point.
I needed one step to his left.
Yeah.
And he would have exposed it.
Yeah.
But.
Right.
And Manano did a great job capturing the emotion of the deal, the emotion of the shot. We really wanted to focus a little more on our cutaway shots and our videography and stuff like that. Wait till you guys see this stuff, man. Joe's gonna put it out here pretty quick, and
there's the
I'm
pressure.
telling you,
I like
Joe's
it.
gonna put it out pretty quick. You like that, brother? I slid
Within
that
the next week or so, you'll probably be seeing all of this.
Just slid that in there right there.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, I am truly excited to try to put this together because
it's a lot of stuff.
Last year, look, y'all, we are not professionals, man.
That's what I mean,
you're in our elk camp because this is what it's like. These guys are in these freaking blankets,
They're freezing to death.
Freezing to death. Chav's just trying to stay warm over here. It's after midnight because we are not professionals at what we do. We're trying to give something to you. And so last year's video was so hard to put together because of elements that just weren't there to tell you the story. Hopefully we have more of those elements because these guys, I even sent them podcasts to listen to on the way traveling.
Not to mention what Chad was going through, brother.
Right.
We had to worry about what Chad's
Absolutely.
well-being was, bar none.
Yep.
Video, no video.
Absolutely.
It made no difference to us. Chad's
the
on the
podcasts take a lot of your time
They
as
do.
well.
Oh, sure.
Especially
Absolutely.
With uploading all of the data into the internet.
when you put together everything, the battle he was going through,
Sure. Podcast.
doing the podcasts, doing the academy, putting camo out for the first time, merchandise.
Well, plus your emails and everyone else.
And communication with you guys, man. Look, I've already looked. There's a bunch of emails waiting for us for, like we're there, but we're not. We're up in the hills, so with no data, and we'll get to you. And if you don't get an email from us, you'll get a phone call. And so I also encourage all of you, look, when you send an email, put your name, put your phone number down there, because I'm a person that I'd rather
pick
talk.
up the phone.
Sometimes it's easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier than typing sometimes. So, I'm excited about this. I'm excited. What I have seen and what everybody has put into it, just to show some of what we've done for you guys to experience this.
It's truly special.
It is. It is to us. And that's what I want to tell you guys out there, is that you guys that are new, or even some of you guys have been doing this for 10 years, but you've never filled a tag, hopefully you're listening to some of the stuff that we're teaching you. Hopefully you go back to some of our podcasts. We're almost to pop our 90th podcast. And I tell you, all of it is teaching. All of it is trying to help you to that next step. And you can do this. You can punch that tag. If you put the work in, if you learn the skill sets, and there's different perspectives to everything. And it does take time. And sometimes it takes some of that actual, making the mistakes.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
I mean, Brandon, you've listened to the podcast religiously, man. Going across country.
Exactly. We talk about a failure mechanism all the time in our sport that I coach in softball. You got to be okay with sucking 70% of the time.
Sure.
Because 30% of the time is going to make you a rock star.
Right.
So it's the same thing here. You got to pay your dues. You got to put your time in.
Right.
And you got to take your lumps. You got to get better. You don't quit. All of those things go into play, man. But those failures got to turn into wins, right? At the end of the day. It took me 4 years to kill my first bull. You can ask Joe, we put in a lot of time together, a lot of opportunities missed, blown. I wounded a couple bulls, stuff like it. It was really until I took my daughter elk hunting and understood the anatomy of a bull. When I watched her kill that bull and it died in 13 seconds, I mean, just up, feet up, done. It really taught me something about the anatomy of those animals, and it really helped me out a whole lot.
And I'll tell you something else that you get taught. I mean, you see this guy up here right now, and he's not up here because he's up here to kill an elk. He's up here because of the relationships that are in his life.
And we love him dearly.
With all of these guys. And you don't know when something happens in all of our lives. When a child gets COVID, when a new baby is born, when you finally realize that you're not everything that you thought you were.
He's just jealous of my chuckles.
Look,
it's about the relationships, man.
All day, every day, man. We say it all the time. It's not about the It's not about the harvest. It's all about the hunt. And I'm telling you, it's been a phenomenal hunt. The elk finally cooperated. The weather was wild and woolly up here on the mountains in New Mexico. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please rate, subscribe, and review to us. If you like what we're doing, man, please drop us a note on ElkBros.com and info at ElkBros.com. It's been an unbelievable show, Joe. So cool to have Chad back up in camp with us. We can't wait to have him back. He's been back on the podcast weekly with us, and we love that. Been an awesome time with everyone here in camp. The Venezuelan Mafia showed up. The cat killer Brendan, the Pennsylvania cat killer Brendan Houlihan showed up. Guys, please hug your wives. Wives, kiss your husbands, hug your babies, keep your broadheads sharp and your powder dry, and we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Thanks for coming into elk camp, everybody.
Enjoyed it.
Peace.